Lutheranism is often seen as a forgotten Protestant denomination. It's not as loud as Baptists, not as trendy as non-denominational churches, and not as ancient as Catholicism or Orthodoxy, but its history and beliefs have shaped millions of Christians around the world, and is one of the most influential Protestant denominations. So, what is it? Lutheranism is one of the largest branches of Protestant Christianity. It began in the 16th century during the Protestant Reformation and traces its origins to a German monk and theologian named Martin Luther. In 1517, Luther became concerned about what he believed were abuses in the Roman Catholic Church, especially the selling of indulgences, which were promised of reduced punishment for sins. He wrote the famous 95 Theses and nailed it to a church in Wittenberg, Germany. What began the call for reform eventually led to the creation of an entirely new Christian tradition. Lutherans believe that salvation comes through God's grace alone, through faith alone, because of Christ alone. This idea, often summarized with the Latin phrases sola fide or faith alone, became one of the most central teachings of Lutheranism. Lutherans also emphasize the authority of Scripture, believing that the Bible is the highest authority of Christian doctrine. Unlike many evangelical Protestants, however, Luther retains many traditional practices. Their churches often have liturgical worship, vestments, hymns, in a structured way that resembles Catholicism in some ways. Lutherans generally recognize two sacraments, baptism and communion. They practice infant baptism, believing that God works through baptism to give grace. On communion, Lutherans reject both the Catholic teaching on transubstantiation and the idea that communion is merely symbolic. Instead, they teach that Christ is truly present in the bread and wine, although they explain that presence differently from Catholic and Orthodox Christians. Today, Lutheranism is divided into several denominations, each with differing beliefs and levels of conservatism. The largest Lutheran body in the world is the ELCA, or Evangelical Lutheran Church in America. The ELCA is the most liberal major Lutheran church denomination in the United States. It sometimes ordains women as pastors, allows same-sex marriage, and generally takes progressive positions on social issues. Its worship style ranges from traditional to contemporary. The second largest Lutheran denomination in America is the Lutheran Church Missouri Synod, commonly called the LCMS. The LCMS is much more conservative. It teaches that the Bible is without error, does not ordain women, and rejects any unorthodox forms of marriage. Its churches tend to have traditional worship, although some congregations use more modern worship. Another conservative group is the Wisconsin Evangelical Lutheran Synod, or WELS. WELS is even stricter than the Missouri Synod in some areas. It emphasizes doctrinal purity and limits church fellowship to those who agree with its teaching. WELS also opposes women's ordination and other liberal issues, and generally maintains a traditional form of worship. There are also smaller Lutheran groups such as the North American Lutheran Church and the Association of Free Lutheran Congregations. Some of these bodies split from larger denominations over theological disagreements. Although Lutherans agree on many core Protestant beliefs, there are several teachings that make them unique. Unlike Baptists and many other non-denominationals, Lutherans baptize infants. Unlike Reformed churches and Presbyterians, they believe Christ is truly present in a physical sense in communion. And unlike Catholics and Orthodox, they reject papal authority and most church tradition. In terms of church style, Lutheran churches can vary greatly. Some look very similar to Catholic churches with altars, stained glass, and formal liturgy. Others have contemporary worship bands and simpler buildings. Today, there are roughly 70 million Lutherans worldwide, with a large populations in Germany, Scandinavia, Ethiopia, and the United States. Whether conservative or liberal, traditional or modern, all Lutheran churches trace their roots back to Martin Luther and the Protestant Reformation in the 16th century.